Never have enough time to play it all. You know everybody wants to walk in someone else's shoes. Everyone's forgot who they are. Such a crime to waste his time away. Such a
Welcome back to Otter Creek in Rio Grande, where I'm going to get started working on the staging yard, kind of stepping backwards after moving forwards, if you kind of understand what I'm getting at there. So I need to do some alteration of the foam and the plywood and just kind of get this prepped to do what I want to do with it. And right now, I don't think I'm going to mess with the backdrop at the moment. I'm still a little indecisive at exactly what I want to do there, but there are a few things I can do with the staging before I mess with the backdrop. So I'm going to get started doing that and try and do as much as I can and bring you along with me. I'm going to go ahead and let the foam, let that glue dry overnight. That's actually where I need to begin the track work, because that's going to kind of set things in place for what takes place coming through here. So I think I can go ahead and glue all of my cork in here. I think I've got enough information of where that's going to come through that I can figure that out without too much worry. So now you'll note that the time savers back on the plywood there, the bench work, despite me saying in the last video that I wasn't going to move it again, but it moved easy enough that I decided that I wanted to make sure that in order to do all this, that everything was exactly where it was going to be permanently, and I couldn't really do that without the time saver. So I'm just about ready to start laying track. So when I originally started, with the construction here of the transition piece between the time saver and the staging yard, the rest of the layout, I had a piece of green 1-inch foam to begin with, and that foam wasn't really big enough for the whole thing to fit in there without having to splice two pieces together. So I went with this pink foam, which is also 1-inch, but apparently they're not the same size, because there's just a little bit of a lip that there's a discrepancy in the height. Not going to be too difficult to deal with. I wouldn't really probably worry hardly about it at all if there wasn't going to be some rail joiners in here. So I want to build this up with something, maybe some plastic. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I want to take care of that before I go any further forward. So 40 thou is just about perfect. And then I can kind of stair step down. I don't know exactly how I'll do it yet, but I got 20 thou and 10 thou that I can spread out. I don't know, I'm thinking 6 inches at the moment. It probably doesn't matter too much. I'm not sure. This is different cork here. This is actually Homosote road bed specifically for narrow gauge. I didn't like it. I won't purchase it again. I just didn't think it was very easy to work with. It's like 40 thou is just not quite tall enough. I think 50 thou will work. So that's kind of the game plan there, is to get everything lined up. And of course, I want to be able to move the time saver away from here. So I got to make sure that none of this is permanent yet, because I'm still haven't done anything with the backdrop. And you know, the reason why is because I went ahead and made a decision that I'm going to put a printed backdrop on. So I've ordered it. I'm hoping that I will get it next week. I have no idea how long that might take, but I'll keep the time saver here until I get the backdrop. Then I'll do all the painting. I'm going to cut out the scene, paint the backdrop blue, and then put on the backdrop on the painted board in the background. That's the plan there. So I'm going to get back to working on this, and we'll see how it all turns out. Everything is pretty smooth. I've got all three of the turnouts marked, and I've got my spacers, or whatever you want to call them, shims for the track, kind of figured out where they need to be. So now I just need to peel this back up, take it out into the shop, and get them ready for tortoises. So I've got 1 inch of foam, an 1/8 inch of cork, and a 1/2 inch of plywood. And when I did the time saver, there was, similar depth to go through in order to get the tortoise to work. And I decided then that I really never wanted to have foam as a scenery base ever again if I could keep from it. Just because it kind of created some problems with the wire for the tortoise. Now, if you're not using tortoises or any other mechanism to throw turnouts, it's no issue whatsoever, I don't guess. But so I'm gonna try and do this. I've got where the hole is that needs to be for the throw-out bar, and I'm gonna create a pilot hole through the foam. First with just a little piece of wire here. I think this is 0.32. And of course I want to try and, as I go, keep it as straight as possible so that maybe where I end up marking the plywood underneath will be directly underneath the hole. That's kind of the goal here. Whether or not I'm going to be successful or not, I'm not sure. Well, I should have a pilot hole that hopefully be somewhat accurate. Now, I'm not overly concerned about the front and back, but the side to side I want to be as straight as I can get it. It's probably as good as it's going to get right there. Now I'm going to give a tippy tap of love, which should make a very clear mark in the plywood where my hole needs to go. I'm going to try and get rid of the cork exactly where it needs to be. I know this is it's a Forstner drill bit. My hand, I'm sure, is blocking the view. I have no illusions that this will work for the foam. I am going to try, though, because I'm figuring that the foam is going to come out in large chunks. But I can kind of see the hole. So now I'm going to try and stop this drill bit before I get to the wood. I don't know. Probably not going to work the way I want it to. I'm just trying to get as much of that excess foam out of there as possible and hopefully get it to where I can actually see the mark I made in the wood, which it doesn't matter that much. I can probably, as long as I drill straight through in this particular area right here, I'll probably be okay. Well, I don't think I'm ever going to see that hole, so I think I just need to go ahead and drill on through. As luck would have it, my center hole punch is just almost the perfect size, so I will be a little more persuasive this time. One of the things that I learned with the time saver is that 0.32 wire was just not enough to go through 1-inch foam. So this is 0.39 and it worked. So that's what I'm going to use here. And it does require drilling a larger hole in the actuator. But it's getting late. The sun's going down and the moon's coming up. So I'm going to try and get this put in, before I run out of time completely. All right, that's a first time go. Everything's gonna work pretty good. Now, I'm not gonna do it tonight, but I will come back in here with the Dremel and gouge out an area for the throw bar to go back and forth. I like to do that just to make sure that the throw out bar isn't dragging on the cork at all. That's just something I like to do. I don't know that it's necessary. Now, I'm not saying that a 32.32 throw out rod might not have worked. Because when I did the time saver, I didn't really have an established way of doing this, and I'm a lot more particular about how I do things now because of the time saver. So, let that be a lesson to anybody watching who hasn't built a layout yet. I strongly advise building some kind of layout from beginning to end. Even it's just like 2 foot by 18 inches, include every aspect of model railroading you can think of to find out whether you like it, don't like it, because the lessons you'll learn in doing that, including scenery and structure builds, and at least one scratch build, that'll tell you everything you need to know about how I should move forward in the hobby. I now have a working standard gauge staging yard. Now it's real simple, just enough to provide a couple of cameo appearances from a standard gauge locomotive. So it's going to work for just exactly what I wanted it to do. Now the wiring for all of this is about 75, maybe 85% complete. the bus line for the actual staging yard, all of that is probably as good as it's going to get. I've got a few more things that I probably will need to do on the bottom side of the transition piece to the time saver. Nothing extravagant. Before I get all of that solidified, like I've said multiple times, I'm going to have to work on the backdrop first. So these pieces can still lift off pretty easily and do what needs to be done with the wiring. Kind of the down and dirty on the wiring, the bus line that's right now lighting up the staging yard and the time saver is actually the bus line for what will be Hill Gate. The bus line that will take care of the time saver and what will be Leadville or Cloud City will come from the opposite direction over the top of the door. But for now, because that bus line is going to be there regardless, I'm using it back here in the corner to connect to the staging yard. So, and the only other thing that I've done is I do have the LCC connected through the CAN bus. And so for the first time ever, the time saver actually talks to the rest of the layout. So when I open up JMRI, I think I've got 4 nodes up underneath there. Maybe it's 3. I think I've got 3 nodes. It populates on the computer along with all the rest of my nodes. So that's kind of a milestone there. Now, all I really need to do is get this spline stuff figured out here, and who knows, maybe in the next video I'll get to drive a train from Maroon Creek up to the time saver. Thanks for watching. This is all I've got for this video, and we'll see you next time. Otter Creek and Rio Grande.